Hi everyone, thank you for joining our webinar about actions you can take to improve your website's appeal to international students. It's really great to see lots of people joining from all over the world today. I can see we've got people joining from New York. Great. Hi Kathy. Hi Sarah from Clemson University. Thank you so much for joining us. I'd like to introduce you to our experts here at Studee. We've got Ewan. Give us a wave, Ewan. He's our digital marketing lead. And we've got Tom. Hey Tom. And he's our designer. So we're going to take our cameras off just now so we can then go through the slides a bit easily. So just before we jump into it, I just wanted to share a quote with you that really sets the scene of what we're going to be talking about today. While it is positive, there is still strong demand. There is more work to be done. If destination countries and institutions are to meet this demand, governments, community services and the international education sector will need to come together to find solutions that enable students to arrive in country and commence face-to-face studies soon. This really is the current challenge that our industry is actually facing at the moment. And we believe that the university's online space, their website, is now more important than ever to actually helping overcome this challenge. So you can continue to use it to engage with students and carry on those all-important conversations with them, especially now because of obviously the lack of opportunities to actually meet students in country. The universities who harness the power of their website will attract more students if they start taking some actions now, which we will then go through on the webinar. As a tech-focused company, our expert knowledge of how successful websites work goes beyond the international education industry, which is where higher education can sometimes fall behind. Studee is one of the world's best university comparison websites for international students, built with data-driven innovation and human first-hand experience. We've got two services here at Studee. Our recruitment service. So we use digital marketing to attract prospective students onto Studee, and we support those students all the way through to enrolment and through our Study Advice Centre, where our NAFTA-trained advisors are. We also have our conversion service, where we help universities who are looking to improve their conversion rates from inquiry to app and then app to enrolment for the students that they have generated through their marketing efforts. And then we come in as a conversion team. Just a quick run through of the agenda. First, we're going to run through the current student opinion about their future study plans. Then we'll give you an example how student search volumes for courses have changed over the pandemic. I'll introduce you to Ewan for actions you can take to improve your digital marketing. After that, I'll introduce you to Tom for actions you can take to improve the design of your website. And if you have any questions for our experts, please use the Ask a Question button that you'll then find below at the bottom of your screen. We'd love to make this webinar as interactive as possible, and so we also have some poll questions running at the moment, so please answer them when you can, and we'll share the results later on. So what's the current student opinion at the moment? ISEF produced a report in May about this, so we thought we'd summarise the main findings for you. So students are still preferring the classroom over online study. I think that is very clear in any student survey that has been out so far. 40% of students would wait 3 to 6 months to begin an in-person class. 27% said they weren't sure how long they could wait, possibly implying their patience is running out. Half the students were willing to defer up to 12 months before changing their plans or exploring different study options. And in terms of destinations, Canada, New Zealand and Australia have come out ahead of the US and the UK in terms of how students view these countries in response to the pandemic. So this report, in the context of your website, may not seem related, but actually addressing their concerns up front and taking that action to do so on your website allows you to respond and to reassure them. I know lots of universities have quite rightly been emailing their prospective students, their applicants, their current students, keeping them informed about the university's response to the pandemic. But what about informing those prospective students, those visitors to your website? If actions are taken to address concerns clearly on your website, this will be a really a positive experience for students, and they are more likely to come back to you for further advice. This helps retain the students' interest and starts to build trust with them. Let's have a look at the student search volumes. So rather than going through all the different countries today, because that would take far too long, we thought we'd show you an example of one destination country. So this graph shows international student search volumes for courses in Germany during the pandemic. So these students are actually wanting to study in Germany. And before I start, I just wanted to say on behalf of Studee, we are sorry if any of you, joining us today have been personally affected by the coronavirus. This graph does depict the number of deaths, so we want to approach this sensitively with you. As you can see here, there is a visible drop in student search volumes, which is the blue line at the beginning of the pandemic, and the purple bar shows the very sad news of the number of deaths in Germany. At week 16, although there was, sadly, this was the week where the most reported deaths were in Germany, students searching for courses in Germany actually recovered and increased by 20 to 25%. This not only shows how well people thought Germany had handled the crisis, but that also this then boosted student confidence as well as actually going to that country as one of their study destinations. So if we take this in the context of your website, it really proves that clearly managing this difficult situation, so for example, by addressing it upfront on your website, it will then help boost student confidence as well and start to retain their interest. An example of this could be uploading case studies of students who have supported during the crisis. So if they have been stuck on campus, unfortunately, or any mental health initiatives that you've rolled out since then, they would be some good ideas. This graph compares March 2020 to the same period last year. It shows student search volumes by study level. So although there is a visible drop in search volumes for searches for bachelor's degrees and shorter courses, that they actually experienced the largest decrease, whereas the master's and the PhD stabilised and actually bounced back within 2 weeks after the initial drop. So in the context of your website, taking action to address student concerns and finding out what they are about the bachelor's courses, this might actually boost then student inquiries and for those courses again. So the last slide from me before I hand you over, this is a summary of how universities have actually responded to the pandemic so far. So they've given online alternatives, they've changed application deadlines, the tuition fees, and also the start dates. So these have been very quick changes where universities haven't really had the chance to actually research them as much as I'm sure they would have liked to. So there's now going to be this race to actually, who's going to create the best website. And for this to work, we advise you to take some time and to test. So this is a big one. Test the different changes that you're making to your website to actually make sure they're making the right impact that you want. And I'll now hand you over to Ewan.
Thank you very much. So just a quick introduction about myself. I'm Ewan. I work in the digital marketing at Studee, and I've been in the industry for about 8 years now. So I've got quite a lot of experience, and I just wanted to talk to you about digital marketing and Google AdWords, which I'll talk about at the beginning, just because I think it's such an important thing for us. Students are going to get the information online, so if you want to be able to attract those students, we need to have the best tools available to be able to market to those students online where they are getting their information. As I say, I'm going to go through Google Ads because this is the biggest platform, and then I'll do some pros and cons of digital marketing, and then some actions that you can take away for you to run with. So Google Ads is the biggest platform in terms of digital marketing. It's 75% of search happens on Google, and 90% of internet users will see Google Ads within their search results. So obviously it's a huge tool that has got a massive reach. So what is Google Ads? It's the paid service that means you can put an advert at the top of the search results when you're searching for something. And there can be up to 4 ads showing within that, a maximum, and there will also be some at the bottom of the page. And the more popular and in-demand a search is, generally, the more ads you'll see. So as you can see from the slides, the search term was study MBA in Canada, and we've got 4 adverts there because there's lots of people that are wanting to appeal to that student. Now, the adverts themselves, where they are placed, are based on a real-time auction that Google holds. And the price that you pay in that auction is based obviously on how much you're willing to pay, the bid you put in, and also 3 other important factors. So if you can put the same bid in as someone else, you may pay less if you do very well on these factors. So that's click-through rate, which is of the students that see your ads, how many people click through. showing that you're really appealing for that search term. How relevant your ad is. Do the terms within the text of your ad, do they match up with what the person is searching for? You want the text to say studying MBA in Canada, if that's what they're searching for. And then you also, if you've got a good landing page experience, if the student doesn't leave straight away and do another search, that's a really positive signal that Google will pick up on. And all of these together will mean if you do well on them, you'll get a cheaper ad. So now some pros and cons in general. So obviously the size and the reach of digital marketing is incredible. You can all the students that you're looking to go after, they will be using the internet. There will be ways for you to market to them, to reach them. So that's why it's such a great tool to use. And when you're targeting those students, you can really be specific in who you're looking to do. So while you're using a billboard, it might just go out and it's for everyone to see. You can't target particularly apart from location. With digital marketing, you can be much more specific in who you're looking to speak to, whether that's younger students, mature students, students who are looking for to do postgraduate, people who are looking to do graduate. All of these different audiences are available to be targeted. And when you do that, as I say, you can target the messaging differently for each of them. So again, billboard is just one message, it gets put out there. Other forms, the messaging is one. You can't really change it for who you're looking to speak to. Whereas this, every single advert that you show could have a different message. So if you did want to target anyone who was searching for an MBA, for instance, you can have that advert out there. But if they're younger, then you could have one message. If they're in one country, you could have a message for that particular country, and then a different message for other countries. So while the scope is large, you can be really targeted in the messaging you're trying to give to those people you're trying to attract. And again, another good thing is that you only pay when someone interacts with your ad. It can seem quite simple, but it's a really helpful thing, I think, in that if someone doesn't click, you're not going to have to pay. So again, if no one's interested in the ads, no one's there for it, you won't have to pay anything, unlike other forms of marketing where you obviously pay upfront. The cons, so obviously it can be very expensive. As the example I've shown before, there's 4 adverts there. That shows that there's a high degree of competition for those spaces. So if you want to appear within those 4, it is going to be expensive to appear there. If it's terms that are less competitive, then it does generally mean you're going to get less students there. It can also be an issue when you're looking at very generic terms that aren't specific to your university in this instance. So if someone's just looking for study in Canada or study in USA, then obviously that's very wide and may be very difficult for you to convert that. And that's actually where we do really well as a company at Studee, is that because we have a wide range of people that we work with, we're able to take those students in and help them find those the right country or the right university and the right subject that they're looking to study. And another con is that actually it can be very confusing. So you can set it up and get running with it quickly, but to do it well, there are a huge amount of settings, and understanding all of those. I still have stuff after 8 years that I don't understand and have to go away and learn on a regular basis, and they're always changing. So it can be quite overwhelming. And if you don't have someone to run it as a full-time job, then it can be quite complicated to set up. Finally, I'd like to just give you some take-home actions that hopefully are helpful and stuff that you can do straight away. So first thing would be to make sure that the page that the student lands on from any advert that you're doing is very relevant to what they're looking for. Taking them to a homepage or something that doesn't answer whatever query it is that they've got, then that's not obviously going to get a very good response from the student. So again, as I've mentioned before, you can be very targeted in your messaging, be very targeted in the landing page that you want. So at Studee, we have different landing pages for different programs, different countries, different universities. Any way that we can segment those users, we make sure that it has a page that most closely aligns with what they're looking for, and that you get much better results from that. Next is to test. So Lucy has already mentioned this, and something I do every day is make sure that we're running tests to make sure what is working. So this may be on the text that you're using within an ad, if it's that kind of marketing you're doing. If it's images, then changing the image. It might be about the landing page. So as I said, the landing page is relevant. If you want to test about which landing page is going to get the best results, So run these tests as often and as for as long as you can, and you'll see things. And it might be that the improvements are very small, so it might only be a 1-2% improvement. But if you're running a couple of tests at a time and doing that every week, then overall the improvement you see will really make a big difference. And the last thing is just about brand bidding, which is when you have you're bidding within whichever auction model it is on people searching for your brand term. So for us, that would be Studee, but it might be a university name. Understanding the value that that is creating. A lot of people may think it makes, that's what you should definitely be doing. You want to appear at the top of the ad. So that's one of the first things that you want to actually do. But is that actually driving money, or are you actually just paying people to come to your website that would have already come through other means? So again, check whether that is happening. If it isn't, you might want to test it. And if it is, will people come through other means? So again, test, test, test. My last slide is just some further places to go and get some reading to understand things a bit more. So all the big digital marketing platforms will have their own online academies and learning centers. So Google and Facebook are obviously really important, and Hootsuite offers a wide range of social media training, which is really good. All of those are free. And then some blogs, as I say, Search Engine Land and PPC Hero are more focused around search and paid for click advertising, whereas HubSpot does a much wider range of things. So there's really interesting articles that will start from getting you up and running to the other end of the scale, where it's much more nuanced and for advanced workings. I'll now pass you over to Tom.
Thanks, Ewan. Hi, everyone. I'm Tom. I'm a UX UI designer, so I'm responsible for all our digital experiences here at Studee. So designing and improving the features we provide to the students and universities using our website to help them find their perfect university abroad. So why is design important? Well, a well-designed and structured page is key to attracting and retaining potential students. Provide a great experience, and it will not only give you the right impression to interested students, but also get them returning when they need more information. So I'm going to share with you some actions you can take to improve your international student pages to make them as effective and engaging for potential students looking to study with you. But before I jump into these actions, it's important to get a deeper understanding of the types of students using these pages and what their goals may be. Now, you might be thinking international students are our audience, and you'd be correct, but actually there's a subset of user types within this that have very different needs. So designing for these different users will allow you to craft better pages that cater for all visiting students. Here at Studee, we categorize these into 3 types: the explorer, the decider, and the applier. These reflect the different stages students visiting our website may be at, but they can also be translated to the international students visiting your site also. So let's have a look. So first we have the explorers. These are students starting off on their journey to studying abroad. They might not know yet where they want to study or what they want to study. They're just exploring their options available to them. Next, we have the deciders. So these are students who are somewhere in the middle of their journey. So they've narrowed down where they want to study and specifically what they want to study. And they're now looking into the finer details between universities and programs. And basically just looking at ways or things that would be best suited to them. Then finally, we have the appliers. So these are students who have chosen where they want to apply and now want to take the next steps and apply to their chosen universities. So let's take a quick look at the goals attributed to these. So as we said, the explorers are just looking into their options. So they might be interested in learning more about things like what the university is like, could include what facilities are on offer, what the student life is like on campus, and importantly, what the international atmosphere is like there. Then top-level information such as how much are fees and what programs you have on offer. The deciders, so they're looking for the finer details. So they may be interested in further information around teaching and accommodation you have on offer. And then more specific, such as what the entry requirements might be, what English qualifications may be needed, and potentially any visa guidance to study in a chosen country. Again, then the appliers, so they're ready to apply. So obviously, you want to get them to where they need to quickly, so telling them how to apply and also when they can apply for their chosen program. So as you can see, these pages actually have to cover a multitude of information for students who are at different stages of their journeys. So now we've had a look at the potential users and goals. I just want to give you some simple actions you can take with the design of your pages to improve their appeal and usefulness. Now, I understand each institution's all of your pages are kind of different between design and layout. So these actions are overarching and can be applied to any of your sites. And of course, you might be doing some of these already, which is great. So some things you can do. So make sure you're doing relevant content. Now this can be tied back to the user's goals we just talked about. This ensures your pages contain all the information they may need. Also, you can try telling a story by adding the experiences and stories of current and past international students. Including these will help your potential students picture themselves studying with yourself. The next is clear signposting. It's great having relevant content, but if users can't find it or know where to look for it, then they'll likely navigate away to another university website. So ensure all your content is clearly labelled and structured in a way that makes sense. Finally, use lots of engaging visuals. This is a great opportunity to just showcase the dynamism and diversity of your university. You want to create a good impression, and there's no better way to convey that through the use of imagery or video. So here's a couple of examples of some good international pages. The one on the left has a clear structure of information that is clearly labelled and covers everything any potential student might be looking for. And the example on the right uses lots of engaging visuals and vibrant colours, which feel fresh and exciting. They read this with simple signposting and their social content to really get across the atmosphere at their university. So I just wanted to also share a few things of what not to do, which link to these points. So don't split any relevant content, whether this be across multiple pages or within the same page. This just dilutes the message you're trying to convey, and it makes it hard for students to get the information they might need. Lack of signposting, so without a clear structure or use of labeling or clear labeling, pages can become cumbersome to navigate and leave potential students frustrated. And finally, text-heavy pages. So overloading your pages with content can overwhelm students. Remember, they're after a quick piece of information, so provide it in the shortest way possible. Don't make them look for it. And I just want to share some innovative ways in which you can further connect with potential international students to give them a flavour of your university. So one way to do this is introducing a live chat feature. Many of you might have this already, but it's a great way to connect with students in real time. At Studee, we have a live chat feature to our admissions team who are available in real time to answer any questions students have about a given university. It's also a way for them to get information that may not be in the brochure and provide that human connection, which is also great. Another way is then to look at creating virtual tours of your campus. This is great for those students who are unable to visit in person, but they can still get an understanding of what's on campus, what facilities are available, such as sport facilities, restaurants, and down to student accommodation as well. And great in obviously this current climate where some students won't be able to visit. And then finally, you could look to hold virtual events such as virtual open days, where you could host academic talks to hear more about specific subjects, or give a virtual tour of the campus, a great way to showcase all you have on offer. Hopefully that just gives you a few actions and ideas you can look to adopt your international pages to attract and engage new potential students. To end, I've just included some links for some further reading. There's some more reading just around general web design principles and some more ideas on how to make your websites more international student friendly. I'll just share those in the chat for you now. Thank you. Back to you, Lucy.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. That was brilliant. Thank you. And also to Ewan as well. It was really, really interesting. So now it's time to give you our poll results. So if you haven't done so already, please go to the bottom of your screen and answer. We've got 3 questions for you. So I'll just give you a few more seconds to do that. Thank you. And thanks, Tom, for posting that. Brilliant. Okay, the results are in. So the first question, do you think you address international students' concerns over the coronavirus clearly on your website? 62.5% said yes. Actually, they do. So the majority of you are already doing that. Actually, the results are just changing in front of my eyes. So I will do that again. It's actually only 44% of the universities attending here think that they do clearly address the coronavirus on their website. And just under 60% say they don't at the moment. Tom, do you have any comments about that?
Yeah, I think, well, obviously coronavirus is one of the most relevant things at the moment, and especially to current students. So I think any content around this, it's just make sure you put it front and center on your site and make sure it's easily accessible. And then around sort of content, I guess, obviously it's a tricky time for everyone. So just being reassuring to students who may have these, their various concerns. So obviously it's just about alleviating these concerns. So just reassuring in the content will help with that.
Great. The second question, have you recently increased your digital marketing activities to international students? And 100% of people on this webinar said yes. That's really interesting. The great thing of working with us is that we actually absorb all of the marketing costs when our university partners come onto studee.com, and we only charge per enrolment. So there are no upfront digital marketing costs to working with Studee, which I hope will be music to your ears. Ewan, do you have any other comments about that?
Thanks. Yeah, I think it's just really positive that there's still that the forward-looking, that despite the difficult times that people are going through, that there's that understanding that the marketing and getting students and speaking to them online or through whichever digital medium, it is really going to improve the opportunities of speaking to those students and getting them involved with whichever company that is looking to do it. So I think the fact that everyone's doing that, and it's great. I think obviously there are the cons that I've spoken about, that people feel that they're comfortable going out and there's enough support within their organisation to spend that money and to speak to students and get them there. I think that's really positive.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it? And the last question, what would be the most important change you'd want to make to your international page? And nearly 60% of people on this webinar said they want to improve the overall design as well. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. And please pop me an email if you have any questions about working with us and helping you recruit international students. We'd love to chat to you. And yeah, we hopefully look forward to seeing you on the next webinar. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.